Players want to play. That's the theme tonight. And AOC has been one of those players, and it seems it has backfired on her finally at this point in time. Now, there's a number of people that saw what happened between AOC and Nancy Pelosi with the Oversight Committee race. And they're just like, man, that's really crazy. Really crazy how Nancy Pelosi just stabbed AOC in the back like that. No, not really. Not really. And then there are others that are saying, well, I can't believe that AOC is even considering not supporting anyone who's a primary challenger. All of this came out within 48 hours, by the way. All of this is connected. But I think sometimes people forget what AOC said about Nancy Pelosi before she even won. All of us remember when she was protesting inside Nancy Pelosi's office after she won. We all remember that. How many of you remember this? How many of you remember this before she won, what she said about Nancy Pelosi? Peep this.
Party. Joe Crowley was thought to be the next Democratic leader, maybe at the end of this year, and maybe the next Speaker of the House. He's out of the picture now. Nancy Pelosi is the Democratic leader. She says she wants to run again and serve again as the party leader. Do you want to support her for that?
Well, you know, let me win the election first in November before I make commitments. But you know, I think that she's you know, one. I think she's a candidate to consider. And I think that, you know, when it comes to the leadership of the party, that's a conversation that I have, you know, once I'm an elected member of Congress.
So no commitment going in. Have you heard from her today in the last 24 hours?
I spoke with her and she was incredibly kind, incredibly kind.
What did she say to you?
You know, she said that, she loved working with Joe, but that she's actually always wanted younger women in Congress, and that men tend to run at younger ages and women tend to run at older ages, and that she's actually very happy to see, you know, some new blood, you know, and you know, I look forward to meeting her in that chamber.
She was looking forward to some new blood. I wanted to show you that for a reason. I wanted to show you that because, again, that was before AOC won. And think about the way that she spoke about Nancy Pelosi right there in that interview. She said she was really nice. She was open to younger people coming into Congress. You know, she's open to changes and all that stuff. Changes. We can bust out some Avril Lavigne and say everything's changing. I don't know. But then later on, AOC did win. She did protest inside Nancy Pelosi's office. And then at some point, there must have been another conversation because she decided to get in line. Remember this?
Nancy Pelosi, that's Mama Bear of the Democratic Party. You don't listen.
So that was one of the at least several attempts over the last few years that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tried to make nice with Nancy Pelosi. And we're seeing this week what that actually bought her in practice, because Mama Bear has no interest in ever passing the bear torch to the next generation of bear leadership.
He was right. So I just wanted you to see that part there, because John was right. She had no intention of doing that. But AOC thought that if she continued to kiss up to Nancy Pelosi for quite some time, you know, things would go her way. She wanted to play games. But it seems that Nancy Pelosi had a chess move of her own. Because you see, while AOC was seeking the leadership position for the Oversight Committee, it appears that Nancy Pelosi didn't want her to have it, boo. Nancy Pelosi did not want AOC to have that position. And not only did she not want her to have it, but she was vocal about it. Vocal about this. Not for you. Nancy Pelosi trying to tank AOC's House Oversight Committee bid. Yes, she was. Oh, yes, she was. It goes on to say here, Pelosi, 84, would rather see Representative Jerry Connolly serve as a ranking member on the high-profile panel and is actively working to tank AOC's bid. That was according to Punchbowl News. The former Speaker of the House, has been making calls urging Democrats to support Connolly 74 over AOC 35 in the outlet reported on Thursday. So after all of that kissing up to Nancy Pelosi, after AOC trying to play the Democrat leadership game, after her going to the DNC convention and telling people that Kamala was working tirelessly for a ceasefire, only to get called out by her comrade Ilhan Omar afterwards for the lies, after her going after Jill Stein and calling her names and predatory, all of these things that AOC did to further her own political career while kissing the ass of Dem leadership has backfired in her own face. Because what this shows you is that all this sucking up to Dem leadership means absolutely nothing if you're not the person that they want. And AOC is not the person that Nancy Pelosi wanted. There's been a lot of ass kissing going around, folks. Pelosi has publicly backed Connolly candidacy, but the scope of the powerful Democrats' lobbying campaign was previously unknown. Connolly and AOC are in a heated intra-party race to replace current Oversight Committee ranking member Jamie Raskin. So let's see how that played out, right? So Nancy Pelosi made that pretty public. She was making phone calls, picking up calls, just like she made phone calls to tell Biden, get people together to tell them to get Biden out of the race. She was making phone calls. And she said, you know what? We're going to have to do everything that we can to make sure that we maintain the status quo in the Democratic Party. Now, AOC has kind of moved over to the status quo for the most part anyway, but she's still not one of them to their perspective. They still don't see her as quite as one of us, even after she's done all that ass kissing. So after all of that, something weird happened. Same day, Nancy Pelosi apparently fell. I don't know if that was supposed to be like a karma thing or what. I don't know if it was a jinx, but she fell. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi undergoes hip replacement after sustaining injuries in Europe. A spokesperson for Pelosi described her condition as well on the mend. So all this was happening the same day. The same day. Listen to this.
Is, quote, on the mend after having surgery this morning in Germany. We're going to head right to NBC's Gary Grumbach with all the details on Capitol Hill. What happened, Gary? What kind of surgery?
Uh-oh, I accidentally hit the wrong thing. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I can do it this way. There we go.
She is, quote, on the mend after having surgery this morning in Germany. We're going to head right to NBC's Gary Grumbach with all the details on Capitol Hill. What happened, Gary? What kind of surgery she had and what led to it?
Hey there, Alex. Yeah, 84-year-old former Speaker Nancy Pelosi was on a congressional delegation trip to Luxembourg to mark the 80th anniversary of the World War II Battle of the Bulge when she fell during an official event on Friday. She was taken to a local hospital in Luxembourg and then was airlifted. She was medevaced from Luxembourg to a hospital near Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. We have a statement from her spokesman here just minutes ago saying earlier this morning, Speaker Emerita Pelosi underwent a successful hip replacement and is well on the mend. Speaker Pelosi is grateful to U.S. military staff at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center and medical staff at Hospital Kirchberg for their excellent care and kindness. Now, Alex, Landstuhl is the largest American hospital outside of the United States, so she is certainly in good care, but no word yet on when she will be making it back to the United States. Hip replacement surgeries generally take a few days to recover from in terms of getting out of the hospital. Certainly for an 84-year-old, that will be the case as well. Alex.
I just want to add this part. I'm sorry, but my dad had hip replacement surgery many years ago, and it takes longer than a few days. So just going to tell you that one. Like it takes longer than a few days to recover. But what this points to again is that we need term limits, damn it. Nancy Pelosi is 84 years old. 84 years old. But the old guard of the Democratic Party does not want to go away. That's why you saw Dianne Feinstein still being rolled into Congress, and she didn't even know what was going on. She was incoherent, and you still see them. They still had her there until she died. Well, what is happening here? Who did they sign their souls over to? Ask yourself that question. Why are you still there and you don't know what's going on? Why aren't you retiring and spending your time at home with your family members? Somebody let me know what is going on. We need term limits. And that could never thus be the case when it comes to Jerry Connolly, because Nancy Pelosi's phone calls worked. They worked because you'll see it here. Jerry Connolly wins Oversight Committee ranking member spot inside the steering committee. Now, inside the steering committee, it was 34 to 27. So people were saying it's still close. He said, this isn't over yet. AOC has a real shot to win inside the full Democratic caucus. That's a better room for her, says one Democrat. Really? Connolly went on to defeat AOC to lead Democrats' oversight panel. And we can look at the votes here. It was 131 to 84. So he went on to win that position. George Connolly is 74 years old, and just in November, he announced that he was diagnosed with cancer. Nancy Pelosi made phone calls to Democrat politicians and told them not to vote for AOC, to vote for George Connolly, the 74-year-old man who was just diagnosed with cancer. If that isn't enough, AOC and friends, to show you that they don't want you leading anything, I don't know what else is. And this is no shade to people who are older or to anyone that is diagnosed with cancer, but you guys get my point. This makes no damn sense. Anything to keep the old guard in power. And this is exactly why I continue to tell you that the squad members in the Democratic Party will not get any type of leverage going forward. When they had it, they should have used it. When they had that narrow majority, they should have used it. They didn't use it. Now you can't get anything. They just blocked her. Her mama bear buddy just came in and blocked her and said, no, you will not be taking this position. Well, Nancy Pelosi told me she welcomes women coming into Congress and she's looking for new energy and new change. Honey, Nancy lied to you. Nancy was playing a game. You were playing checkers. You thought you was playing chess, but Nancy was playing chess and she beat you. Never underestimate the power of the old guard in these parties. Never underestimate it. They know a lot more than you. They have more connections than you, and they know how to make things their way when they see fit. 74-year-old George Connolly. So you ask me, has the Democratic Party Dem leadership learned anything from Kamala's loss? No, they don't care. Nancy Pelosi don't give a fuck. Nancy Pelosi go home to her refrigerator full of ice cream in San Francisco. Nancy Pelosi's not sweating about paying for this hip replacement surgery because members of Congress have great health care. It's probably all covered. We have to get past the partisan divide and we got to start focusing on top bottom. This is why I keep saying this, top bottom. What AOC should be doing is she should be calling out Nancy Pelosi's ass, but she's not going to, just like Bernie Sanders wouldn't for so many times. They should be calling these people out. So all those years of playing that game got you absolutely nowhere. And Kate said it best. Kate Willett, I don't know if you guys follow her. She's a comedian. She's really funny. Lied about an ongoing genocide on Prime TV, was the number one person trying to revive Biden's campaign after everyone saw he wasn't mentally fit, voted to break a strike, and didn't even get the committee appointment. Insider strategy working great. She got nothing. She still got nowhere. Nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere. And then there was this part, which is probably the most damning of all. Representative AOC privately signaled to the Democrats that she might no longer back congressional primary challenges to her colleagues, according to 3 people familiar with her remarks. Isn't this hypocritical of AOC? She privately signaled to Democrats that she might no longer back congressional primary challenges to her colleagues. Didn't she primary challenge Joe Crowley? Where's the Justice Democrats' position on this? Well, I may not approve of any primary challengers if that'll help me get that leadership position. She was even willing to go that far, and they still didn't let her have it. You can't get any lower than this, folks. The question had been raised when New York Progressive made her case in the Steering and Policy Committee meeting for why she should be the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee. It would mark a departure for the outspoken progressive who came to Congress by primarying a Democratic leader and has also backed challenges to other sitting lawmakers since then. But it wouldn't be the only departure. There was the departure when she conflated anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism. There was the departure when she voted to back, to back the railroad workers' strike efforts to go against the railroad workers going on strike. That was a departure. There was a departure when she wouldn't vote against the Iron Dome. There's been multiple departures. So if we had to pull out and we had to say like someone was really played, because the theme of the show is players want to play, AOC got played. Nancy Pelosi probably told her first year, you follow my lead and you'll go far. And she probably really ate that up. Well, let me go ahead and do that and I can have a political career. And guess who stabs you in and Nancy didn't stab her in the front. She did it privately and made those phone calls in the dark. So she stabbed you in the back. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.